So in today's War Thunder video, we have the FIROS 6 here, which is going to be the next event vehicle coming in for War Thunder. And I do want to quote someone right now that this says it's a premium on the dev server. This is probably incorrect. Nowhere on the dev blog did it say it was a premium. It said it was an event vehicle. So I would take this with a grain of salt and also take the rewards down here with a grain of salt as well. I feel like this one is probably going to come to the live server as just an event vehicle, but if it is premium, fair enough. But at the same time, I highly doubt it's going to be that. So what is the FIROS 6? It's basically a little clown car, or let's just say it's a technical that they strapped a rocket pod on top of, and they told the guys to go kill tanks with it. And that's basically how it's going to be in War Thunder. This thing is going to be quite insane for what it is, because it's going to be like the Oosh. It's going to be like those vehicles which can fire the rockets very, very quickly, except for you have a ton of them, but you do have some downsides of it, basically being that this thing has almost like no pin whenever it comes to its actual rocket. Now, if you look at the very bottom down there where you think the penetration is, that's incorrect. This is a new thing that they've done on the dev server. I assume it's just bugged. But if we do look in the middle right there where it says penetration, it only says it has 150 millimeters of pen. And 150 millimeters, I mean, from the side of things, it's going to be pretty decent. But if you ever face like a Tiger 2 or you faced a Mouse, for example, from the front, it's going to be a hard time actually doing anything against those vehicles. So while yes, you do have a heat rocket, and from the side of most tanks, you should do relatively well, it's still going to be one of those vehicles that is pretty whenever it comes to facing armored targets. So maybe it's a vehicle that you'd want to actually up tier it to like 8.3 or even 8.7. So you can actually see vehicles like Leopard 1s, see Term 3s, see vehicles which basically have no armor, and these rockets would use a little bit more effectively. Now, we are going to answer some questions whenever it comes to this video. I do want to know, and we'll make a user mission of it, and I'll show it off in this video. Basically, can you go hold down with this vehicle? And if you can, if you hit this right here with an HE, or if you hit it with like an APFSDS, or even just an AP round, does it blow up, and does it blow up the whole vehicle? Because that is going to be a key feature of this vehicle. If you can put this thing in a hold down, where you only show this, and they can only shoot that, and it doesn't explode the vehicle, it's going to be so good whenever it comes to actually doing that sort of thing. Now, one thing I do want to mention, the turret rotation speed is very, very poor on this thing. The -5 degrees of gun depression is, it's all right, but at the same time, I wish it had a little bit more. So yeah, let's get on to the test drive of it, and let's see how this vehicle does. All right, so as you can see right here, this is the turret rotation speed. This is insanely slow. So if you have to engage somebody from behind you or something like that, it is going to take it pretty much a whole year to turn completely around. So you definitely want to have your turret rotated to where you think the enemies are going to be at pretty much all the time. It does have 360 degrees of turret rotation, which is pretty good. So I mean, that's going to make it to where like you can definitely play this thing backwards if you really wanted to, which we'll actually do in this video. But the thing about these rockets is that they're a little bit interesting to aim. I mean, look at the reticle. I'm not sure if this reticle is bugged right now because it is a little bit too low, but yeah, that's like where it's going to be at. Like, this thing's a little bit hard to actually aim at. Yeah, all you got to do is really just correct your fire whenever you're playing with these vehicles, especially since you got 44 of these rockets. So I mean, you can just spam it until you actually hit the target, and you can overwhelm them, and there's no way they would ever beat out this reload. So yeah, basically you overwhelmed them to death, and that should do pretty well. Now, a question I do have is like a vehicle like the Tortoise. The Tortoise is going to have a ton of armor, and I do not believe we'll actually be able to pin this guy. Hang on, let's see. A little bit lower. Yeah, this is what's making me think this reticle is bugged, because there's no way that's 400 meters. But hang on, that should be about it right there. A little bit more up. Yeah, I don't think there's any way you would ever pin this Tortoise, even if you shut off all of these missiles. And that's kind of the biggest key thing about this, is like you definitely want to make sure that you're hitting targets which you know you can pin. So we did get actually 2 pins on that, which is quite interesting. But yeah, it's going to be a vehicle that is pretty unique in a way, and I do feel like for a lot of people, this is an event vehicle I wouldn't really miss out on, because it's just cool. I like these types of vehicles. Like, my favorite type of vehicles in War Thunder are vehicles that play completely different than any vehicle in the game. And this is going to be one of those types of vehicles. It's going to be really fun to play. It might not be as meta as you'd probably want it to be, but at the exact same time, I mean, this thing is just going to be grind. It's a light tank. You're going to get scouting with it. You're pretty stable, funny enough, on the move. I mean, it's not stabilized or anything. I mean, look at this. I mean, like, you could definitely just like run, and you can shoot these on the move too. I mean, like, you can just go around the corners and just start spraying. Then hopefully you can hit the guy and then destroy him. But yeah, the damage on it is quite low, I do have to say, so you do have to worry about that a little bit. Yeah, so we can like start spraying. But yeah, I don't know, it's a pretty unique little vehicle. So yeah, let's get on to the next portion of the video where I'll actually mod this thing into a user mission, and we'll shoot at it and see if we can actually ammo rack this up in here, see if we can actually hit it. And if you can't, then, you know, it's going to be really good. You could hide behind your friendlies. Like, for example, you could take the Centurion right here, get behind him, and then use them as cover, and then you will be able to shoot over him. That's kind of funny. That's going to be kind of cool. So yeah, let's get on to that portion of the video. So before we do get onto the armor testing, I do want to note this, that there is ammo in this, right? So whenever we're testing out this vehicle in the armor testing, just remember that there is ammo. It almost goes through, like, hang on, I think we can actually do it with one of the x-rays, right? Yeah, here we go. So as you can see, it basically cuts off right here. So whenever we're shooting this thing, it has to, like, your round actually has to go through a lot of this to be able to hit this ammo, which for me, at least to the preliminary testing of this, it basically has been very, very unreliable. But let's get on to the actual testing, and then let's see how this thing performs. All right, so we have the new premium Ariete here to test out the wonderful clown car, because I think it's just suiting that an Italian should shoot an Italian. But at the same time, the thing about this is, from preliminary testing for about like 30 minutes here, trying to just test out this vehicle, I believe it's bugged, and I believe there's something wrong with the volumetric, because this rocket pod acts extremely weird. Now, whenever it comes to HE effects, I think this is going to be your most reliable thing to actually destroy this vehicle if it's hold down, and the only thing you can see right there, if you're over a 100mm cannon, all you have to do is just shoot right here, and it will overpressure the crew, because that's basically how that sort of stuff works. Now, the thing about it is that I've actually had this thing to do very weird things. I've actually had it defuse a 128mm shell in the mouse. I've had it fuse the Tiger 105s. And also at the exact same time, I've had the M53, which we've had right here, basically do absolutely nothing. So, as you can see, it does absolutely nothing, goes out the other end and does nothing. I believe it did actually hit a rocket there, and it didn't explode, which is kind of funny. But at the same time, once you actually destroy the rocket pod, it seems like its damage model is just nothing. Because, as you can see, there's 3 shots into there, it's not hitting the rockets, and it's not even coming out the other side, I don't believe. I don't really believe, like, we shoot here. Does it actually hit the thing over there? Honestly, I'm not really sure. But from the thing, if we looked at it right, rockets should be about right in here. So if we shoot here, there should be a plentiful of rockets. Literally nothing. So, not exploding at all. Let's reset it, because sometimes it seems like if you reset the vehicle and you use a fresh one, it sometimes will work, sometimes. I mean, as you can see, we're at the tail end of the rocket. This should just basically make them go boom and still nothing. I don't know if there's something wrong with volumetric. I don't know if there's something just wrong with this vehicle in general. But so far, it does not seem to be exploding the rockets no matter where you hit this thing. But it'll sometimes do it. That's the thing. I've had it sometimes work, which to me at least is just quite crazy. So yeah, definitely very inconsistent right now. I would take this dev server with a grain of salt whenever it comes to this, because yeah, like as you can see, it's not destroying it. So I don't know, maybe it'll come to the live server like this and it'd be incredibly good, but all you have to do is load one HE shell and just hit the thing, and it should basically overpressure all the crew, which will be super reliable. So yeah, that's the armor testing of this vehicle. Overall, would I recommend getting this wonderful little Italian clown car? I say yes. It is the most unique event vehicle we've had in a very long time, and it should be a lot of fun. I don't think it's going to be a vehicle people will play for very long, because it's not going to be super meta or anything, but it's going to be fun to just take it out for a drive every once in a while and kind of just experience it, which I think is going to be pretty cool. But yeah, overall, would I recommend? Yes, this is one that I would grind out whenever it comes to War Thunder. One thing I do want to note, though, is I hope a lot of you actually noticed something that I noticed whenever it came to the dev blog. This actually starts on the 13th. And what else is still running on the 13th? The naval event. Now, I know a lot of you don't play naval. I know a lot of you don't care. I care, because this is a precedent that I really don't want to be set, especially since I said that they were going to give breaks, and that they were also going to do something of like the event just runs one at a time except for the winter event. So I don't really like this, of where they're going to start actually running some of these events side by side, because it's going to make it to where it's a little bit harder to grind out. And let's say there's an air and also ground attack or ground vehicle going at the same time. I don't think some people are going to want that. So yeah, let's see how this vehicle does in the game. Hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next War Thunder video.